Hello and welcome back once again to the Single Malt Review. This episode brought to you by Campbell, whether we like it or not. It's just the way it goes sometime. Assuming you can... Oh my goodness. Did he just dribble in your glass?
That's quite possible.
Oh, we're going to...
Oh, he got on the stem actually.
Oh, got on the stem, that's right.
Yeah.
Right, man, perils.
That was
perils
close, though. He's
of the job.
Very, very dribbly cat.
Yes.
Nonetheless, today's episode sees us back at the Wild Turkey Distillery in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, and we are taking part in another bit of historical recreation through the Whisky Barons series. We looked in the past, the recent past, at Old Ripy, a tribute to legendary distiller James Ripy, and similar magic has been wrought here to reproduce the Bond and Lillard Bourbon.
Yes, indeed. Another sort of, another historic bourbon recreated faithfully or otherwise, based on what they had to go on. But again, the vehicle for it has been Wild Turkey, ever proving to be a versatile place to make whiskey, evidently. So, this one, I'll have a look at my cheat sheet here. Why don't you pour us there while I wrangle the cat and my notes here. Yes, Bond and Lillard. Mr. Bond and Mr. Lillard were brothers-in-law, and they created this original whiskey in 1869, where it went on to win a World's Fair prize as a good bourbon. I'm not sure what the stipulations of the judging were back then, but someone obviously enjoyed it. And as much as I've been able to glean, it is a blend of bourbons, but nothing younger than 7 years old.
Nice.
So it's, you know, it is mature bourbon.
Similar ballpark to the Old Ripy in that respect.
Yes, not too dissimilar, but this one they've gone a few extra percentages, and we've got the full 100.
Oh, it's a little lower.
Proof.
The Old Ripy was just over, I believe it was 52, 54. This one is slightly lower at a 50% ABV, or exactly 100 proof.
Well,
good round number.
Good round one there. And I think, though I'm not absolutely sure, this is a little bit younger than the Old Ripy, just based on how it tastes.
All right. But then again, one key point of difference is charcoal filtering.
Yes, this one has been charcoal filtered, but obviously not enough to sort of disbar it from being a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. So I think that means they've just they really just have poured it through some charcoal to filter it. They haven't gone full on charcoal treatment a la the Lincoln County process, which... Goodness, that just goes on, the Lincoln County process. You could talk about that and the stipulations thereof forever, which we're not going to do. So, first thing I'm going to do is plug the camera in because I forgot and I can see the battery symbol blinking at me. Dave is going to fill time.
Yes. I'll be expecting something probably in some ways on par with the Old Ripy. I'm expecting a relatively light but deceptively...
And we'll just resume. I don't know why it did that.
So, technical difficulties done, we are back online.
Goodness, it's a professional show today.
Oh yeah, completely, we're utter veterans. Anyway, yeah, so the charcoal filtering is obviously going to lighten the tone a little, but hopefully not strip away too much character as well. Old bourbon can be amazing bourbon, I don't want to have any of that sort of diminished by filtering.
No, indeed. So, the nose is... It's a lot more... It almost reminds me a bit more rye-ish than the Old Ripy.
Wow,
the Old Ripy was very sort of savoury, very warmly oaked, quite corny, I suppose. And
that is
this one,
sweet and malty and very rye-heavy.
Yeah, this one, whether it's actually rye-heavy or not, the Wild Turkey rye sort of... rye percentage is well known. I don't know it off the top of my head, but they're not particularly secretive out of it.
Actually, be mathematically rye heavy, just be their nose is certainly leaning that way.
Yeah, I think it's probably the bit of charcoal filtration has. What is that cat doing?
He has found a toy.
I'm going to ignore it.
Yeah.
Whether that has modified it significantly, or whether they really have done a different mash for this one. Oh no, Campbell's into it. All right, go and help him out, Campbell. No. It's going to pounce soon. Anyway, never mind. So, yeah, it's a more sort of cleaner, fresher, more almost a little bit medicinal kind of a bourbon.
There is a good bit of smoky wood in there. It's coming through quite clearly. It's subtle, but it's distinct.
It's pretty stavey. It's quite like freshly sawn wood almost. There's a sappy quality,
but with a bit of smoke as well, a bit of wood smoke, some little bit of char on the edge.
This obviously by the Campari floater brand, the American Medicinal Spirits Company, which I've told the story of why that was a thing in the Old Ripy, so you can check back to that one if you're interested. But at either rate, let's see how it behaves at full strength.
Tasting this.
And it's not too bad at all. It is noticeably full strength. That Old Ripy was pretty quaffable. This one...
That is a burn. I think the filtration has exacerbated it somewhat because that's stripped away some of the heavier and stronger elements of flavour, leaving the alcohol to shine through more.
This is a real, shit-kicking bourbon, this one.
It doesn't hold back. And though that flavour, though, what I am tasting is really pleasant and quite nuanced. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, this one is a little spicy. Which... I mean, taking it back once again to the Old Ripy, which is our sort of point of comparison, that one I thought was quite classically wild turkey. And maybe it should have been because the original distillery that it was based on, Wild Turkey, now occupies that building, or that site. I don't imagine anything of the old building remains, but there's certainly a lineage there. The Bond and Lillard, I'm not absolutely sure where it came out of, or whether it was even their own distillery. Mr. Bond was into distilling before the subsequent partnership, but... this doesn't have quite the through line to Wild Turkey that the Old Ripy did, so I wouldn't be surprised that they've gone in a different direction with it. It's actually quite pleasing to see that they have, because it means they can, even if they're just using Wild Turkey as the sort of the source for all of these recreations, that's a proof of concept that they can do a meaningfully different spin on the whiskey.
There are three big elements I'm getting on the tongue here. There is corn and rye and smoke. Those three, first and foremost, there's a strong corn whiskey flavour to it in the best possible way. And also a lot of that rye, which we got on the nose.
Yeah.
But also a generous wood smoke element too.
There is a bit of, it's smoke and it's charry smoke as well. It's sort of not it's not a savoury smoke, it's a real
very sooty, ashy smoke.
Yeah, dark, charry kind of a thing. And I'm getting quite a bit of spice here as well. There's licorice in there, which is not a common bourbon thing, but it does jump out occasionally. And there is clove and cinnamon, which is much more common.
Cinnamon especially is a big
almost
tell here.
Every bourbon, but that sort of slightly more aniseedy, licoricey note, that's much less common.
And just a little touch of has a good bit of heat, a little bit of sort of some chipotle, some dried peppers going on.
There's certainly an alcohol catch on there, which again stands it apart from the Old Ripy.
If we had more time, I'd add an ice cube, but since we obviously don't, a little cold water to cut things slightly and see what happens.
I think, well, they'd be hoping anyway to be suggesting this is post ice cube whiskey. This is sort of, at least the price would be suggest that it was sipping whiskey. That's another thing I should mention about is we did the review for the Old Ripy, not really thinking about the price because there was nothing to really write home about over here in New Zealand. But it turned out that they were paying more for it in American dollars than we were in our New Zealand dollars, which are
generally they're about equal. Like for one bottle of either Bond and Lillard or Old Ripy, you'll pay the same number of dollars whether it's New Zealand or American. Only a New Zealand dollar is worth a lot less. An American might pay $50 US for a bottle of this off the shelf. We pay $50 New Zealand, approximately, for exactly the same thing.
Sometimes. I mean, it's almost never goes in our favour. We normally pay through the nose for the bourbon over here compared to domestic sales due to many reasons. I mean, tax being the major one, but also, it costs money to get it halfway across the world.
And just for comparison, $50 New Zealand is roughly, what, $28 US?
Oh, it's not quite that bad, but it'd be in the 30s somewhere. You wouldn't be making a lot of money out of it.
So it is comparatively a bargain here. It's still a premium bourbon, like it's a 375ml bottle. It costs about the same as $7.50 to a litre of a economy bourbon.
So exactly how that happened, exactly how we are paying such an enormous amount less than they are in America, despite an accounting error, I don't know. But it's almost as if they copied the American price and forgot that they were converting down to New Zealand currency. But I must say, it is the most gorgeous bottle. The Old Ripy, not bad. This one, there's a hand feel to this. It really is. I'll show it a bit closer up.
I like the almost Art Deco styling of the Old Ripy bottle, but the label here has a real...
Just the label and the curvature here. It's like the most... I don't know, to be... In an odd way, the most bourgeoisie Molotov cocktail. It's just only the best civil unrest. And I do like Mr. Lillard and Mr. Bond here looking furious.
Yes.
Just
not pleased.
Just furious at... Just vacantly
I guess
furious.
When your face is being weighed down by that much beer, it's going to give you a bit of a permanent frown. resting beard face.
Furious men. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked now. I've just put water in mine, so we'll call that the rest period.
That has smoothed out some of those rye-flavoured speed bumps on the nose, like in mixed tubing metaphors in one sentence.
It's a lot
that has
fruity in that.
it into, it's become much more of a young bourbon nose. Ooh. That has cut right through the alcohol, the alcohol heat, leaving only a tiny peppery prickle at the end, and it's brought out, lots of fruit. There's lemons, limes, key lime.
Fruit candies almost, sort of like fruit jubes, which probably doesn't play in the States, but, like hard candies or gummy bears.
Also a bit of, if I can just go for a bit of a stretch, key lime pie, kefir lime, all kinds of citrus and citrus-adjacent things.
Yeah. No, weird enough, just some straight-up gummy bears in there after that much water. I think I probably put a little bit too much in because of the burn has almost completely diminished. And I put
just a small splash in the bourbon. It's been utterly nullified down to just a gentle heat on the finish. So that has gone places, adding a little water. So
curious. Yeah. It is a curious bourbon, and it's a curious wild turkey, whereas the Old Ripy was a pretty straight-up wild turkey. I compared it almost directly to Russell's Reserve. I thought they had quite a lot in common, which is a good thing, typically.
Yeah.
This really has gone in another direction. Scores for this, and I have, as I always try to, forgotten what I gave the last one, the Old Ripy. So
you gave it, I believe it was 94. You were very impressed.
Yes. So that's getting into the high class of bourbon here. This one I don't enjoy as much, but not because there's anything wrong with it. It's just a different type of whiskey that isn't quite my favourite. I really like a savoury bourbon, and that's what the one there was doing. This is a slightly sweeter, spicier, and younger as well, sort of a bourbon, and it's a more raw also. It's got that alcohol oomph to it. Yeah. So this one, I'll have to bump this one down a little bit. This one's an 88, but it's still a jolly strong bourbon.
I'm similarly impressed. It's not reaching the same lofty heights as the Old Ripy, but it is great to see another attempt at recreating an older bourbon style and an upfront charcoal filtered bourbon. Obviously had reservations about charcoal filtering based on limited exposure to Tennessee whiskey and how much seems to be lost through the Lincoln County filtering process. Here, though, it's taken some things away, but what's left behind is revelatory.
Yeah.
And you don't often get this much contrast to a bourbon after adding water or ice compared to its straight bottle-proof offering. And 89 points for me. Solid bourbon and another good experiment and a few surprises.
Yeah, good stuff. I think if you had to pick one or the other, I would definitely go for the Old Ripy, especially given how much you're paying for it over there in the States, and who knows about other territories.
You get slightly more bang for your buck with the Old Ripy because of the higher proof, but
that has been, at any rate, Bond and Lillard. Like I say, just a gorgeous bottle. I'm keeping this one. I don't know what I'll fill it up with. Petrol, presumably, for my only the best of unrest. Anyway, goodness, what an episode. Cameras turning off, cats, rampages, sound quality issues, talk about speed bumps. Anyway, Slanger, we will be right back. Hopefully a little smoother.